So the Labour government is looking at slashing the welfare bill. A lot of people would say about time. A lot of people would say, no, you shouldn't do that. That's the worst place to take any money from. Now, there's arguments on both sides, but realistically, I think that you have to look at trimming off some of the excess of the budget for the welfare state. It's simple economics, and yes, there's human factors to take into consideration. There's been a lot of people in the past few years who are deemed economically inactive. So these are people that I think don't even show up on any sort of governmental figures in terms of paying out for benefits. They're not in work. They're almost like a kind of lost generation of people that people just simply don't know where they've gone. They've disappeared into the cracks almost. Is it a case of you have to balance cutting some spending on welfare, but also getting people back into work to then boost the amount of money that you're getting through tax into the system? There has to be a bit of both. At the moment, the government's focusing on trimming off some of the welfare bill. Now, the overall total spend is 303 billion. That is 10.8% of GDP. It's 23.8% of the overall amount that the government spends, which is an insane figure. Even if you took 10% off of that, would be a substantial amount. If you could even squeeze 15% off that, or even up to 20% off that, I mean, the saving there is extraordinary. If you could save 60 billion, then obviously you could plough that into the defence that's needed to boost up to the 2.5% that's required. You would free up a lot of money for other things. It's really interesting that the government decided to raid the winter fuel allowance for pensioners, which not a particularly good move. Nobody really agrees with that. It's a bit of a silly thing, really. So they've reached a crossroads and they've kind of come to this juncture. So they're looking at things like PIP, for example, and we know that the numbers of claimants recently since 2019 has gone up. It's gone up 50% in the years from 2019 to 2023. Now, yes, there's a case to look at that. Don't take money away from people that are genuinely disabled. I mean, that's the first thing, and I think that's one of the kind of things that the media's latched on, like, oh, they're going after people that are disabled. Well, they're not necessarily. They're just going to go in and sort of check and see if there are people that are not genuine claimants. I mean, they're already doing that with universal credit. With universal credit, there's been an edict from on high. There's got to be a review, and you have to provide 4 months worth of bank statements. Yeah, it's 4 months worth of bank statements. So they're also kind of going after people that are possibly doing some kind of fraudulent claims, or people that are working, or so they're trying to check. Now, there is another side to that, obviously. I mean, personally, I think that is massive government overreach, because they want your detailed statements. They want every single thing on your bank statements, in and out. You're not allowed to retract anything. So, if you've got a bit of a dodgy subscription, then people are going to be able to see it. But to me, that's a little bit much. I understand the reason for doing it. That's definitely sort of government overreach and prying into your personal life, really. And people can say, well, actually, no, they're only interested in sort of if you've got payments going in, or you've got weird payments going out and stuff. Well, actually, no. I mean, there's been plenty of people online that have said that they literally quizzed them about all sorts of different things that they probably shouldn't do that are quite legit. So with the overall kind of looking at things, I think that it needs to be more of a, you don't want to risk the whole kind of situation like in the States with Doge going in, and even Trump has said that they need to be a bit more of using a scalpel rather than a meat cleaver. By all means, go in, see if you can kind of weed out, what the Americans have been calling fraud, waste, and abuse, and all of that kind of stuff. Because that's essentially what everybody wants. Nobody really wants people just to have money for no reason. And then you're looking at kind of trying to trim down as much as you can there. But I think the whole benefit system itself needs to be looked at. Again, nobody's saying that people don't deserve money for certain things, but for example, there are things that need to be looked at and means tested a little bit more. The argument against that is because that would create more bureaucracy, more kind of people would need to be employed. But I think that you've already got the people employed, and it might need bringing in some extra people, but not that many people to kind of cover the excess. So therefore, I think the outgoings in terms of having to pay for the extra administration, even if it's millions and millions, then I think the benefits of saving billions for that is it's a reasonable, rational argument to have, especially when it's topping 300 billion. And really, there doesn't seem to be, to me, there doesn't seem to be a need to be spending anywhere near that money. It needs to be down, and it needs to be less than 2/3 of that easily. This bill is going up and up and up year on year, and you don't want to punish people. This is the point. You don't want to punish people. You want people to have the benefits that need it. The most vulnerable people, the elderly, people with genuine disabilities, genuine long-term sickness. But you also need to help the people that are unemployed. And so there needs to be a bit of both going on. There needs to be cuts, but there needs to be incentives for people to get back into work. How can we give these incentives? How can we get people back into work? How can we get people off of a lifestyle of benefits? Because there are some people, and let's be honest, there are some people that they just want to smoke weed and play on their Xbox all day and do nothing. There are people. That's not everybody. It's a tiny proportion of people. There are people like that. You have to balance these things out. But you've also got to make sure that people have the opportunities to get back into work. If they can work, then they could do something. And you have to make work pay. And obviously that goes into the whole sort of taxation, kind of the state of the economy and stuff. But specifically on the welfare, like a situation, it needs reform. Even Labour's saying that. Now, even if Labour are saying that, there's a problem. Would they be saying that if there wasn't issues with the economy? If we were back in 1997 and, after the Tories had kind of made the economy a little bit better and there was a boom before Blair got in, if it was like that, would Labour be saying the same thing? Is it just because they're feeling the pinch and the pressure? Because obviously Rachel from accounts really doesn't know what she's talking about. You've got the whole sort of situation with the world at the moment. You've got the pressures of the Ukraine war and the money that's being spent on that. There's a lot of reasons that the finances in this country are an absolute mess. Kind of successive governments, Labour and Tory, have decimated our economy. Is it that they're just kind of in a situation now where they're really feeling the pinch and they're doing that? Or is there any genuine belief in Labour that the welfare state is unwieldy? It does need to be taken down. It's interesting. I think this is going to be a bit more of a long-term thing. I want to see if this is a knee-jerk reaction to the situation or if this is actually a sea change in Labour policy. It'd be interesting to find out. But there does need to be a broader discussion. It's something I would want to kind of do maybe a longer video on, about how we actually restructure and reform welfare and all of the peripheral things that tie into it, jobs, etc. But yeah, that's it for now.